Now we're going to look at interfaces. An interface is a published set of functions. It's not a class. It doesn't fit into the class hierarchy. It's just a set of functions, usually organized around some particular area. There are lots of interfaces, core interfaces. Some of them are quite complex. Node interfaces, and other interfaces. And I actually already used an interface in the movie on rollout UI control types. It was one of the core interfaces, the utility panel interface. This is a very simple interface. It just has two functions in it, open utility and close utility. So when we created this UI items rollout on the utility panel, we opened it with open utility and closed it with close utility. Now notice here when they give these examples, they preface the function name with the name of the interface itself, utility panel. In this example, the name of the interface wasn't used. There could be cases where you would have to use the name of the interface in order to make sure that you're really identifying the right function. If two interfaces had the same function name, for example. But in most cases, the function names are unique and you really don't need to use the name of the interface. And that's discussed right here. If individual methods and properties have unique names within all the interfaces of an object or class, you can elide the interface name. That is, you can omit it. And another thing that's discussed here is that even though interfaces are basically sets of functions, if you look up here, you'll see an interface is created through the function publishing system. But oftentimes you can use the dot notation to access the function as if it were a property. So for example, here we have a getRadius and a setRadius function. But another way to go about using those is to use .radius. It really accomplishes exactly the same thing. It's just slightly different syntactically, and you may find it easier to think about some functions as properties. So that's as far as I'm going to go with interfaces. But just know when you see the term interface used, it's just a published set of functions. It may be associated, for example, with a third-party plugin, or a plugin may have several interfaces associated with it. But using an interface is really very much like using a class. You have to find out what the available functions and properties are, and then you can use them. One difference is that interfaces don't inherit any properties or functions from superclasses. Basically, interfaces just add abilities to existing classes.